Pretty Mental is about accepting our full selves and inspiring others to do the same by being daringly unfiltered.
This means completely normalizing all things mental health and the wild journey that has brought us here.
We are challenging the stigmatization of normal human suffering, and we are done pretending and subscribing to the notion that it is taboo to have challenging mental health experiences.
Welcome to the Pretty Mental Health Club, and enjoy the show.
Hey, Valentina.
Hey, Paula.
Hello, everybody that's tuning in. Welcome to the first episode of Pretty Mental. For this first episode, we wanted to share something that's really special to us, and that is how this podcast came to be and what it actually really means to us.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the meaning of it, I have a degree in psychology and a master's or graduate degree in clinical mental health. So I'm a therapist. Valentina has a degree in journalism and sociology. And so we've always known that we wanted to work together. I don't know why. We've just always had that idea in our head. And
we've been trying to form businesses since the lemonade stand days.
Yeah, since day one. We always wanted to create something together. Nothing ever held, but suddenly, this project came about, and it's just could not make more sense because it couldn't. The idea for the actual podcast started with an experience that Valentina had.
So the idea came to me when I did ayahuasca.
We are Colombian. These plant medicines like ayahuasca are more commonly talked about and known in Latin America than they are here, although they are becoming more common here. I've never done it, but our family is aware of them, and we have several family members that have experienced it. It is considered a plant medicine by the indigenous people of Latin America, of the Amazon. It's been used for centuries by just native people of the Amazon to communicate with the spirit realm for them. It's a spiritual practice for them. It brings the community together. And nowadays people are using it for healing depression, anxiety. It's just one of the many, many practices that we'll get into. But yeah, so it's a brew from the Amazon. It releases DMT from your brain, which is a chemical that only comes when you're born. That your brain releases naturally when you're born and when you die. So as you can imagine, the experience that it opens you up to is very unique. And for a lot of people, very healing.
Yeah, so my opportunity to do ayahuasca came about when one of my very best friends, Natasha, invited me to go take it with her. And I was extremely scared, but I have always been an intense soul searcher. Anything that's going to take me onto a spiritual journey, I'll jump into. I was very, very scared. I cried the day of, but something inside of me was still drawn to it because I wanted to see something greater than what I was seeing. Internally, I knew that there was just more. And I took ayahuasca, and it was the most beautiful experience I've ever had. I died. My heart didn't stop, but I was no longer here, on earth in this dimension. My mind opened up to another dimension. I saw my friend who had passed. I saw multiple people in my life who had passed, and it's so hard to put it into words, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if you want to share this, but what did it teach you?
Oh, absolutely. To let go. To me, it taught me to let go. The entire journey was about letting go. I would feel this intense pain come over my body, and literally my flesh was on fire and my bones were on fire, and I felt nauseous, and it was awful. And then every single time that would happen, my friend said, let go. by the friend who had passed like a month or 2 months earlier. And every single time I would let go, I would feel bliss. And
Like let go of control.
Like let go of control.
Trying to control everything.
Right. Because then the pain would emerge every time I was saying like, what is going on? Like, oh my God, is this like, did I make the wrong decision ever? Is it like, what is this? And then I would feel all this pain from fighting against and trying to figure out what the heck was happening. And then my friend would say, let go. And then I would let go. And it was euphoria. Like I was floating on this river of pure, like a womb. It felt like I was my mother's womb and everything was okay and everything was all right. And it was just so beautiful. And essentially it was like 6 to 8 hours of me feeling pain every single time I would try to find answers or try to control that experience. And then feeling intense clarity and just ease every time I would let go.
Yeah. How did that transfer over into your personal life or, your waking life?
It helped a lot with anxiety. I had, and I still have anxiety, but nowhere near where it was before. Like nowhere near. I had very little bandwidth to deal with uncertainty before and I had like everything for me was up in the air. You know, I didn't necessarily feel safe within my own body, my own experience. I felt like nothing, like I knew I was in control, but I didn't really feel that. And that's not even, at least consciously, why I went into ayahuasca. For me, it was more like, let's do this, let's have this experience. I wasn't trying to get healed of much of anything more than have my mind open up to what there is in this, what else exists other than what I can physically see. And then that experience essentially just showed me that like there's so much that you don't know. You see 1% of what actually is in the world that you let go now of everything of trying to
let go or be dragged.
Let go or be dragged because dear God, you know nothing. So stop trying to pretend like you know. Just be present and let go and breathe. Oh my God, breathe. That was one of the main messages throughout that experience was like, just breathe. Because the only way I was able to let go was focusing back on my breath and getting out of my thoughts, not being so heady, just feeling my body and breathing.
I always tell clients, and obviously this is something I practice too, and the meditation experience that we both got trained in, Vipassana, is a big bedrock of this, but literally this notion of just come to your senses. Mm-hmm. Literally come to your senses.
Literally.
When your mind is spiraling and spinning, come to your senses because your body is the one thing that is always here in the present moment. Our minds try to jump from the future to the past, to the future to the past. There we really have no influence. We have no influence on what hasn't happened yet, but if we're able to bring, like, our body is our anchor to the present reality, and that's the only place where we can actually have impact on the outcome of things.
Yeah.
But anyways, keep going. Yeah, the breath.
Yeah. I mean, that was my experience, and then afterwards when we were coming down from the experience, there was a friend that I had met there, and we were just, so we didn't feel the first little dose of ayahuasca. So we ended up when the ayahuasquero, is what he calls himself, who was guiding us, asked for a second dose. We both went up because it didn't hit us. And then when that second dose just vegetized us.
Yeah.
And so it wore off for us later than it did everyone else. And during that time, everyone was awake. They were coming to this dimension again. They were like talking about their experiences, and her and I were like cracking up because we were like, we are still in the other dimension.
While you could see everybody else.
While we could see everyone moving and talking in this dimension, and it was just the craziest experience, and we could not stop laughing. And we were also like hilarious. We were cracking jokes to each other. We'd be in the middle of talking, and then we'd like float back in and stop talking, and then just mid-sentence dole out like duh. And we were cracking all these jokes, and then KJ goes, they need a podcast.
Mm-hmm. KJ's her boyfriend.
Yeah. And he goes, they need a podcast. Like, they are hilarious. Because everyone was just, like, cracking up at us. And we didn't even realize it. We were so in our own little zone. And we were like, yeah, like, just hyping each other up like, we do need a podcast, you know? Why couldn't we? We can do whatever we want. We just saw what the universe really is. We're the only ones stopping ourselves. But like, we got to make sure we actually do it because we know momentum's going to like drown out and like, we got to do it. So she was saying she wanted to do a comedy podcast because she's actually like so funny. Realistically, I'm not going to do a comedy podcast, you know? But it hit me like, I still want to do one. And then the next day, one of the most important things if you ever do a psychedelic medicine is that your reintegration back into...
Oh my God. The preparation, like this is not something to be taken lightly.
No. It's not a recreational thing.
Not a recreational thing whatsoever. No. We're not here to endorse it. We're just here to tell you if people... The whole intention of this podcast is to share what everybody's mental health journey has been and what's worked for them. If it's something like that calls you, do the research. You know, it needs to be done with somebody that is very trained in guiding you through it. The preparation process is really important. The integration process afterwards is probably even more important.
And the person that guides you, you need to do your research because that is it can go sour, and there have been experiences where it does go sour. So you need to be with someone who is trained and can just guide you smoothly through it because you are essentially a baby.
I mean, I always say like with these medicines, anything that is that powerful can also, that power, if it's channeled correctly, is extremely healing. But if it's taken lightly and tried to use recreationally or misuse, it can be pretty damaging. So, that was just a little tangent.
Very important.
Yeah.
And where was I?
So you were saying like, okay, I'm not going to be a comedian.
No. The next day.
The integration process for you. Yeah.
Therapist sister, I'm ready to reintegrate into this universe.
Yes.
Where are you at? So we met up. We did a Beltline walk of 2 hours.
And we went walking out in nature and just talking about her whole experience and
helping me process what I just saw, what I went through, what it means, what blocks are coming up for me that I can break. It was really beautiful.
It was.
She held some serious space. You held some serious space for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad that I could do that. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you reached out. Yeah. So a lot of stuff came up. One of the things so you told me about the podcast, and like one of the things that came up too with that was like,
just the podcast. But I think we came up with the mental health podcast together
while we were doing that walk.
Yeah,
while we were doing that walk.
This is,
and a big part of it too was a part of like your journey towards inhabiting more of the greatest version of yourself was learning to be more expressive.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. It's fun. Mm-hmm.
I never forgot that.
I forgot that.
Yeah. Can't believe you forgot that. That was a very important piece. I did a lot of therapy work to try to help you have that freaking insight.
It's so true. Oh God. For so long, I held everything in.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I didn't know how to express myself. I didn't know how to recognize the emotions I was having. I knew that either I was just very extroverted or I was very introverted, but I didn't know the times that I got introverted. And, not all of them, because sometimes they were to recharge, but some of them were also because it was a coping mechanism for not being able to deal with the emotions that were coming up.
Yeah. You would isolate yourself a lot. Mm-hmm. And you had a series of relationships throughout your life that reinforced your playing small and not expressing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was one of the biggest things that came up.
I attracted a lot of,
people that wanted to take up space and she just would recoil and not take up space, you would not speak your truth.
No.
Not share your emotions with anybody.
No.
You just like ball it all up inside. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the biggest things too. Like, I think the integration process, for some reason that came up with the journey, like the podcast. And it was like, you know what? Like, part of your journey is to learn to express yourself more.
Yeah, totally.
And if you're really going to like cross over into like higher qualities of mental health, you need it. Because Valentina's body would like express all her emotions. Physically. And I was always telling her, dude, say it. Like, if you don't say it, Was it like Freud said? Freud said a
Like
lot
I
of
would
crazy
get, well,
things.
so people just know, like I would get sick or I'd be like really tired all the time. Like my energy would be
Fatigue.
warped and I
Yeah.
wouldn't really know why.
Yeah. So anyways, this podcast was like great. I'm like, this is, you're like, this is amazing. Freud said a lot of crazy things, but this is something I really do agree with. And it's that unprocessed emotions don't go anywhere. They like get piled up in the body and just find uglier ways of coming out.
Yeah.
So we need to process them intentionally and consciously.
So this podcast made so much sense. I was like, oh my God, this is my creative outlet. I'm so excited for it. And at the same time, we're like, I've been trying to like on the low make a podcast forever. Like my dream was to be on the Bert Show. I love you, Bert. I will still be on your show if you hear this. Ever since I was so young, I'm like, I want to be on the air and be like a DJ.
It's so great. Guys, she was very obsessed. Like,
I'm still obsessed.
Yeah. When Valentina gets into something, it's very intense.
Oh, yeah.
Well, everybody in her family, but yeah.
But yeah, I'm an Aries, if that resonates with anyone. And a Colombian woman. Fire is real.
Oh my God.
So I've always been kind of drawn to being on morning radio, interviewing people. For a minute, I used to interview some Atlanta artists for a YouTube channel I did with my friends. And it just finally we're like, dear God, this podcast just makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
And me and Paul have been trying to work together and this is the perfect, like I'm obsessed with everything. Like growth, self-growth, mental health.
Yeah. And for me, the mental health conversation is so innate. I'm like, yeah, like I sleep, I breathe, I talk mental health.
Of course. I mean, my mom, like our bedtime stories when we were younger would literally be like how to be more emotionally intelligent.
No, literally. And I started reading like Wayne Dyer, Your Erroneous Zones when I was in 7th grade.
So we were brought into this.
Yeah.
But even more than that, the other day, Paul and I were sitting down having a little content strategy session. And every single time that I write PM.
Well, before we jump all the way to that, tell the journey of coming up with the name and everything.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the name came to me. Then I literally was like, maybe it can be, I think I had like 3 names.
It just popped into your head.
But that one was like, but that's the one. Like that one it really did just come to me. I was like, oh, pretty mental. I mean,
and the funny thing,
I didn't really try for that one.
Yeah, and I challenged it a little bit at first, and I was like, ooh, it sounds a little controversial to me. I don't know. I mean, now that I'm used to it, I'm like, why? There's a double meaning in it for us, It's also like destigmatizing, like the fact that like we all have mental health struggles, please. It's part of being human,
Mm-hmm.
And like, we all get a little nutty sometimes, and so pretty mental kind of means that, but it's also pretty mental, like your mind is pretty, and it's like pretty mental health. There's so many double meanings in it. I'm like, wow, I love that name. So we stuck with it.
So that's the name that stuck. And Paul and I were having a strategy session, and I always write PM everywhere. PM. She was like, holy shit.
Oh, hold on. Yes. When I saw that, I just felt like a wave of emotion coming over my body. Because that is what me and my cousin used to call each other, was the PM Sisterhood. Yeah, it's so crazy, like even thinking about it. So she was like my best friend growing up, very, very close.
We call her Maria, but her name is Maria, but we call her Mechis.
Yeah, so you might hear me say,
that.
Yeah, you'll hear me say Mechis. And yeah, and so she actually committed suicide when she was 17 and I was 16. So that changed my life, and I'm actually going to get emotional talking about it. But it's crazy because when you lose somebody, grief is something that is so not linear. I mean, it's been so many years since then, and like I can talk about it all the time, and then there's other moments where it comes up and just a wave of emotion goes through you, So excuse me. Yeah. So we created the PM Sisterhood. That's what we used to call each other. And so I'm seeing that there, and I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Her legacy is continuing, and this is a mental health podcast. So that sentence I was just saying actually got cut off, and we're coming back to the podcast now 2 hours later, because Valentina's boyfriend actually knocked on the door, and he was surprising her because he's always traveling.
He ruined the meat of the story.
I was in full, we were fully in it, but it was worth it. It was good to connect with him. But I mean, what I was saying was that, okay, so I told you guys about my cousin and how it's crazy that the PM thing, pretty mental, the initials are PM. When I saw that, it was just very emotionally overwhelming for me, because I just didn't expect that. And it just gives a whole new dimension and meaning to this whole project for us, honestly, because I wasn't even thinking about that. When you go through a great loss or a great trauma or anything like that, you know, for years you kind of, I mean, at least for me, like I've had to move on with my life. That person is still in your heart, but you don't think about it every single day. So it's not like I was thinking about her when we were creating this podcast, you know, but obviously the emotions and the love that I have for her are so deeply rooted in my heart and in my veins that that's just a part of who I am. And to think that this is a way for that sisterhood to continue is so humbling, and just, I can't even put it into words, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful. So
it gives it a deeper meaning now, you know? I mean, it was always deep. We were excited to finally do something together and spread more of.
We wanted to normalize mental health, and having her energy, honestly, it feels like her blessing. Mm-hmm. That's really what it felt like for me. I'm like, when I saw that and that had happened without us even intending to me, that was really a message of, it's her blessing of like, yeah, go move forward with this. And it's important, you know, because she did commit suicide, and mental health is a real thing. And I lost somebody in my life that was dear to me because, you know, mental health struggle. So the fact that we are now doing something, and we are basically, what's the word? I'm like blanking. Attributing it to her.
She's doing it with us.
Yeah. I don't know. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. I want to, you know, when you're in the beginning of a book, this book was written for
forward.
No.
Dedicated.
Yes.
50 points for Valentina.
Yeah. I don't know. This whole podcast is dedicated to her and to that bond that we created. And she had so many dreams, and we just hope that we can take that energy and spread love. And on that note, just to give you guys a glimpse into the relationship that we had and into who she was, I'm going to read to you a letter that she wrote to me at the end of the last summer that we spent together. So you can, you know, just get a better idea. But so, yeah, I'll start now. She was like, Paula, we always used to put a T and an H.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you did.
We always used to put a T and an H at the end of everything. We were so annoying.
Paula.
Ha ha ha. Our craziness never stops, does it? Every time is funner than the last. I love that. I arrived here with uncertainty. I didn't know if you had changed that much. Now she lived in Colombia, so we really would spend our summers together. Now I realize that we truly are spiritual twins. And I know I can count on you for everything. The fact that we called each other spiritual twins, and like that she's no longer here, but her presence is still felt, and it's transmitting through this podcast, just is so big to me. And I know I can count on you for everything. You truly are the best cousin ever, along with friend. I've had so much fun. I don't even know where to begin saying thank you. You are the one who made this summer such a happy one, such a crazy one. I seriously love you so much, and I'm going to miss you terribly. It hasn't hit me yet. That's how much I want to stay. I wish I could. I've never had so much fun with anyone. My throat feels choked, and I can feel tears welling up. How is it possible that I have to go back after everything we've been through? My mind is blocking the words, and I feel as if I'm going on a trip. But no matter how much time passes, we'll never grow apart. We have too many plans. We're going to Europe. We're going to get rich and party. And they will come true because we're too stubborn to forget them. You are the best ever, and I'm absolutely happy to see that we're so much alike. Thank you for taking me around, for taking me to so many parties and introducing me to your friends. I feel so at home every time I'm with you. This was kind of mean, but she said, sorry, her brother. She goes, sort of wish I could trade you for Eduardo. That was her twin. Hopefully you would laugh at that. So we could always hang out. Please don't forget to constantly write. And if you have trouble with anything, I hope you know you can count on me. It's cliche, but it's true. And it's crazy. Like, I'm not reading the letter, but it's crazy because I feel like she's like so many things. Like, she's been watching over my life this whole time. I'll be there giving you advice in rushes. Haha. Wherever our lives take us, we shall always rely on each other. You're one of those people who have truly touched my life, who will always remain in my heart, whose friendship I will treasure beyond anything. I came here and now I'm leaving, which sucks. Better off because you've touched my life. I wish you knew the extent of gratitude I feel, but words can't seem to really help me convey the feeling. I'm going to miss you so much that it hurts. Like you said, all good things come to an end. Except I'm not ready to accept the ending of this one. Paula, thank you. You are the most awesome person and I have loved hanging out with you. I'll treasure these memories and hope against hope I'll see you soon. If it's truly a year before we see each other, I hope it goes by fast. Never forget our craziness, our seahorses, and our PM Sisterhood. Everything. Even the vanilla cookie candles. We really liked vanilla cookie candles.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. With love, Mechis. And yeah, I mean, that was the last, like, we didn't see each other ever again. And so then I wrote a letter to her that they read at her funeral because I wasn't able to attend. It was in Colombia and I just didn't have the chance to go. But this was my letter. I just remember she wanted to live life so much. She loved going out dancing and turning down the line of boys who were desperate for just one kiss from her. She was not willing to give out her kisses to any guy, only one that she truly had feelings for. It's funny. I wrote this when I was 16.
The things that matter.
Yeah. She loved taking pictures. She and I used to love going into clothing stores, putting on the cutest outfits we could find and pretending to be models. We would also walk around to every single food stand at the mall and ask for samples of food. It was one of our many traditions. It's like such like cheap immigrant thing to do. I don't know.
That was how we made lunch, man.
Another one of our traditions was going into Victoria's Secret and giving ourselves free makeovers with all the beautiful makeup at our disposal. Mechis was always obsessed with the makeup that would bring out her green eyes. She was so proud of her eyes. She truly believed that she was beautiful, which she was. Despite anything, she was a truly confident girl who sought out independence and to portray strength. No one would have ever looked at her and known how fragile she truly was. And side note, that I think that's so important. Like, so many of us are going about our day with our socially appropriate mask on. You know, like, I've got it together. And that's kind of like the whole reason for this podcast, is because we all struggle. We're human and we want to normalize that, you know. You can never know what somebody is going through just by looking at them. But anyways, back to the letter. Yeah, no one would have ever looked at her and known how fragile she truly was. From the moment we would wake up side by side in my bed to the moment we fell asleep again, we would talk and laugh without end, always seeking to understand ourselves and life a little bit more. The summers we spent together, we would always say, were a little bit of heaven on earth. She and I both believed that they did not fall short of paradise. It was during one of these summers that we formed the PM Sisterhood. It stood for Paula and Maria, and it stood as a symbol for the love and joy we gave to each other. We used to make so many plans, and when we dreamed together. We were set on one day moving to Europe together and experiencing everything life had to offer us. I don't know why we were so stuck on Europe, but maybe you and I need to visit
Europe
again.
Is the place to be.
Yeah, okay. Back to Letter again. When we were together, we wanted to juice life for all it was worth. When we went to Hilton Head this summer, we used to go out every night and lay on the sand until 1 or 2 in the morning, looking up at the stars and talking about our dreams and our lives, making each other so many beautiful promises. She wanted to know when she was going to fall in love or she was going to ever let herself be that vulnerable to any guy. At the end of every one of our summers together, we would go out to dinner at TGI Fridays and treat ourselves to the most amazing meal imaginable. It makes me laugh because we were like probably binge eating and mental health issue. Okay. We would continually feed off each other in constant hunger to get the most out of each day. Mechis never complained. She was always satisfied with whatever she got. She was more than a cousin. She was more than a friend. She was my spiritual twin. As she herself wrote in her thank you note to me at the end of the summer. We truly believed that in spirit we were one person. She was my other half. I love that girl more than life itself and always will. God, this is bringing up so many emotions.
Jesus Christ.
This is crazy. We're literally bawling.
I'm like laughing.
She's laughing because she's crying.
Oh God. This is
It's just a lot.
This is a new emotion.
Yeah. Oh God, it's just, I can get through this. Okay. Wow. Just in light of what we're doing here, this just is so much deeper. But she was my other half. I love that girl more than life itself and always will. I will finish this by turning around the words she wrote to me at the end of our crazy and beautiful summer together and saying them to her. Mechis, I'm going to miss you so much. It's going to hurt. Like you said, all good things come to an end. Except I'm not ready to accept the ending of this one. Thank you. You are the most awesome person and I have loved hanging out with you. I'll treasure these memories. And hope against hope, I'll see you soon. May the PM Sisterhood live on now and forever. And may you, my love, rest in absolute peace. Wow. So, we both need tissues because there's snot literally bubbling at my nose.
Oh God.
We need to start keeping tissues by our podcast because there's a therapy session. Yes, give me that.
I just gave her a towel. You know what's crazy? And like what was bringing out so many emotions in me. Oh God. I think I'm laughing because I'm just so uncomfortable that I'm crying into a fucking microphone that I'm going to then put out to the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on, I'm going to blow my nose.
Oh, gross.
That's the other thing, too, is that me and Mechis have the darkest humor. You have to laugh in the middle of pain. Like, it's part of our experience.
Yeah. It just brings back a memory of when it happened. I remember your reaction to it and just thinking, oh my God, you were 16. Like a 16-year-old just abruptly losing someone like that. It makes me like sad for you hearing that because I remember your reaction and you went crazy.
Yeah.
You went crazy.
I literally did.
I remember actually literally thinking we're going to have to put her into a mental home because I had never seen you react that way.
It was the most... She taught me, like, her death taught me, like... It was the most powerless feeling that you could ever feel. Because in front of death, like, we were all just ultimately kind of powerless. So knowing that it was such a final thing
Yeah, it was like a breaking.
She was not gonna come back.
It was like a breaking down of my psyche at that moment. This is my first time ever experiencing something so fine. Like my grandfather had died, and that was really hard, but it's totally different. Suicide is different, and it's very confusing because you're angry with them for leaving you, and you're also grieving. You're really sad because they're not here. So it's, the grieving process is not linear, and a lot of different things come up. And even, God, when was that? That was in, I think I wrote the date down here. What year was that? Hold on, I'm looking through the journal that I had written it in. Where is it? Oh. It was in 2006.
What date was it?
I wrote it down as March 31st.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
It was in 2006. And yeah, obviously that was years ago. And then certain moments, suddenly you just realize like, whoa, it'll still bring up emotions. You never know. With grief, you just never know. But anyways, I know she has blessed this podcast, and now I'm so lucky that I can continue the sisterhood with my actual sister.
And what's so crazy is that last weekend we did a getaway to the beach, and we sat and we just wanted to see the moon and the stars. Paula did, and so she asked me to go with her, and we watched the sun go down, and then we literally stayed there till it was pitch black, and we sat there saying everything that we wanted.
Yeah, our dreams
that we wanted out of life.
And as we were laying there with Valentina, I was like, oh my God, this is deja vu. This is what me and Mechis did, what I said in the letter. But I didn't say that to you. That was mine and hers moment. This is mine and yours moment,
Yeah.
But I feel like, she was present.
For sure.
And it was literally the very next day is when the PM thing just hit. And we're sitting there, and it was like another wave of emotion. And I'm like, oh my God, that is what we're actually doing here.
And yeah, it's just meant to happen. I feel like this podcast was asking to be born, and we're so excited to share it with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, we're excited to have you on this journey. We're excited for all the guests and everybody that's going to come on. And we're so honored and so humbled for all the beautiful people that have and will continue to share their stories and be open about what it's like to be human in this modern world. And to know that just because somebody looks like they've got it all together, it doesn't mean that that they're not facing mental, emotional, and psychological challenges on a daily basis. And to know that the more that we create a community for each other and support each other through this, that is some of the most powerful healing there is. Like, we're social beings. We want to be seen for who we are, and we want to know that we can show up psychologically naked almost, and it's still okay.
And we shouldn't be scared that if other people know, I'm no longer in a safe space.
Yeah.
Like everyone,
Somehow I should be ashamed that I've experienced depression when it's a normal human experience. Like most people have at some point or another tasted the feeling of depression.
Or anxiety or
panic attacks or whatever it is, however it shows up.
And those things perpetuate and get stronger if we continue to just keep them to ourselves. And one of the biggest things that we want to do with this podcast, we're literally having people on talking about everything that they are going through, have been through, and just their entire mental health journey. And what that essentially, a mental health journey is the journey of being human.
Journey of life.
It's a journey of life.
Of coming to accept yourself and learning what tools and, what helps you. And like I said earlier, Valentina was telling her ayahuasca story. We're not here to endorse or deny or take away from whatever helps different people. Obviously, addictions aren't helpful. And we're going to promote healthy coping, but we're open to whatever different alternative strategies it takes for different individuals to heal and come to peace. And I think as we continue to promote this and it becomes more and more of a normal everyday conversation, we'll see the repercussions of that in our society. People are hurting. Even I think the way that we struggle to take care of our planet is a sign of that. You know, I think whatever is outside of us is a reflection of what's going on internally.
Yeah.
That's just what I believe.
As a collective society, look at all the things that we've been manifesting.
So through this podcast, our intention is, you know, just spread love and acceptance and to welcome everybody to the human family.
Absolutely. And I think one of the major things that we want to promote on here is we are, one of the things that we do not want is any takedown culture, you know? Like
that's really, I'm glad you mentioned that.
We're going to say some things that...
So what is takedown? Let's give our definition of takedown culture.
Takedown culture is when you basically like troll someone and when you bring them down because...
It's like, how could you say it that way?
Right. Or like, what an idiot. Like, she's an idiot. Like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And it's... No, like that's not what this is about. If there's something that we say or that one of our guests say that you disagree with, we are totally open to disagreements and totally open to differing viewpoints and perspectives, but don't hurt someone on your way there, you know, on getting your message out. Let us know. We want to promote communication. We want that. We want to hear your side. We're going to go to our Instagram at Pretty Mental Official and let us know. DM us, message us, comment to us about what you think about our episode. But don't hurt us, you know.
Well, and somebody probably will.
They probably will.
We're just saying the doors are open for communication. That is what we're doing here. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
So if we say something and there's a better way we could have said it, share it with us. We'd love to hear it. That's another thing. I don't want people to be scared of stepping into uncomfortable conversations because they're not saying it right. And that happens a lot when we talk about privilege or when we talk about, you know, racial disparities or even mental health. And that scares people off from having the conversation. So we intend to make this a safe space to explore and to learn together.
And to have uncomfortable conversations, you know?
Yeah. So it's not the therapy room, but it's Pretty Mental.
It's the Pretty Mental Health Club.
Welcome to the Pretty Mental Health Club.
So excited that you guys are with us from the beginning, watching us evolve, watching our interviewing skills get to the next level.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm excited.
Yeah. The PM Sisterhood continues.
Pretty mental.
Thank you guys so much for listening and for tuning in, and join our community through following us and rating and reviewing our podcast as you go. Obviously, it hasn't started yet, so no pressure there. But by episode 1, I accept 5 stars. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys.
I love you. And be kind to yourselves and to each other.